So yeah, that's why we have more of a focus on our console builds because
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Steam's not gonna do it for us, I reckon.
Mm-hmm. So I do want to talk a bit about the So is it just Switch or other consoles?
So it's all the other consoles,
Mm.
but Switch, like being the most limiting on hardware. If we get it working on Switch, we get it working.
Right.
Um, so in some of our earlier test builds, we were having some trouble with the Switch, but we got the game running better on my mobile phone than like that's how tricky it is to work with.
Uh-huh. So I guess for if you wanted to release a game on Switch, like where do you even begin with that?
Oh, so there's lots of back and forth, I think, with Nintendo.
Mm,
We had a pretty smooth application process, I guess.
mm,
But it is just back and forth. Like you submit your application, they'll review it,
mm.
then like they'll ask you to send some more stuff, and then they'll review that. Then you sign some things and back and forth. Then yeah, you eventually get put into their developer portal, and then you have access to all their stuff through there, and then you can get your dev kit and whatnot.
Mm. And is the other platforms in process, or Switch is the first one that's going to happen?
The other ones are in process.
Okay.
Like that's all there. We're working on that.
Mm-hmm.
But we might stagger the release. So all the focus is on the Switch build at the
Right,
moment. But we
right.
do have all the stuff for Xbox and PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're in the works. It's
Mm-hmm.
just get it on Switch first and get on anything.
So was that a plan to be on the Switch from the very beginning?
Yeah. So that's part of why we have that really simplified control scheme as well.
Mm.
Because I think yeah, one you would have played it didn't have the free camera. It would have just been a locked camera.
Mm.
And that's because on Switch you've got the Joy-Con, which has only got the stick. So if you're
Right.
sharing the two Joy-Cons, yeah, you only have one stick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was always the plan. And
Mm-hmm.
like the art style and everything, just good on Switch.
Mm.
Um, but in hindsight, doing a four-player open world game on Switch is very stupid.
So with that being the case, like how much time has been okay, I assume the core focus is just getting the game into a finished state and then the porting happens after that. Like what how does that process
uh,
sort of happen?
no, so it has to be considered the entire time.
Mm.
A lot of indies forget about that, and then it comes to porting time, and it's a huge mess, and it's like they have to make the game all over again.
Right.
Um, so we just sort of look at like what are the limitations, like what are our requirements for putting it on Switch.
Mm.
So it could be even things like I think Switch has a file size for your game,
Mm.
so you have to factor all of those things in.
Mm.
And then yeah, we just keep making test builds for Switch as well, just make sure we're on the right track.
Mm.
Because if you're not optimizing it as you go, you're sort of shooting yourself in the foot.
Right. So that one I because it's not a release Switch game, I assume that one's quite a bit harder to do playtesting of. Like it's kind of just going to be of the with like the devs of the and like close friends
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah, yeah. So like the game works perfectly fine, like on PC and stuff. So we take
Mm.
that for playtesting, and it's the same game. Um, but yeah, when we test it on Switch builds, it's just for performance. Really, we're just doing stress tests and whatnot on it.
Mm. Has that been mostly fine? Have there been things that you guys thought were gonna be a good idea, and then you realize you put it on the Switch, and it's like, that was actually a bad way to do that.
Pretty much the whole game. um, no, we're actually pretty good with a lot of the optimization
Mm.
because we are like both Logan and I, who are like in charge of it all. We're both programmers, so we're coming from that programmer mindset.
Mm.
For the most part, we were doing all the right things. But there's lots of little quirks that Unity just doesn't tell you or show you.
Mm.
There's a lot of hidden stuff. So we actually got a specialist to help us,
Mm.
who we met, I think, in Melbourne, but turns out he lived here in Adelaide.
Oh.
Um, So his name's Victor. He's really good. He works. I think he's working for Playside. Um, so yeah, he helped us. He was like, "Oh, these are a few little tricks that you can do. Unity does this." So yeah, that was really helpful. He sort of helped us sort of streamline our chunking process.
Mhm. For
So
anyone who
like,
might be unclear, can you explain chunking?
oh, so sort of where the player is, the chunking will just sort of almost like a distance. Things that are off in the distance won't be rendered and stuff like that. Um, which we already had a simplified version. Like we already knew that. We knew rendering only see what the player can see sort of thing.
Mm-mm.
But there's a lot of back end stuff that Unity still does, which if you had no idea, there's nothing you could do. Like, so he showed us all these little workarounds. You can override a lot of the Unity stuff because the Unity sort of by default isn't great with certain things. So he showed us all these little tricks and stuff. So like that's a lot more optimized. So things aren't being called, they're not being stored or anything while they're not needed. And that just makes the optimization much better.
I would assume that having that split screen there creates a further issues for ensuring things are not too many things are being loaded than just having a single player game.
Absolutely, it's horrible because you could be then looking from any angle. In most single player games, you can cut off things that the player can't see. There's lots of little tricks as well, like you can go into a tunnel, so then suddenly everything outside that tunnel is not loaded because you can't see it.
Yeah.
With ours, 4 players, one could be on any side of the map, and then you have to pretty much show the entire map. So we're really just sort of like crunching and pinching every little bit of performance we can. So it could just be like a tree in the distance, and Unity's waiting for it to detect if somebody hits it or not. So it's just sort of turning off those sort of little things there. So like there's a lot to it. Yeah.
You mentioned game tricks. It was kind of a running joke when the PS5 first came out that every game from a AAA studio had some sort of like small crevice that you would climb through, and that's just they're like, oh, the PS5 loads everything seamlessly. Like, no, that's a load screen. Right?
Yeah.
You can just like show a little bit of like LOD in the distance, and then you just load everything in as they're going through that gap. Or anytime you see an elevator, that's a load screen.
Oh yeah. I think it was it like Tony Hawk? Tony Hawk's American Wasteland or something. And this huge advertising campaign that was like the first game without loading screen. And you would just go down an alleyway where everything was like blocked off, and that's the loading screen.
Yeah.
Or you'd get into a car and it would drive you to your location. Like it was a loading screen.
And there's nothing wrong with doing that, right? Like it's much better to have that than I remember. Oh god, I played Skyrim on the PS3. Oh my god, that is one of the worst ways to play that game.
It's so hard,
yeah, because I think it had a 5400 RPM hard drive out of the box. Even with an SSD, the game didn't load fast though. So I think sometimes you would see 2-minute load screens.
Oh, and their stuff like wasn't well optimized in some parts as well. So like, it's been an interesting journey, like doing this optimized stuff. So we're actually trying to push and like pivot to offering it as a service to other studios. So we've got a few like local studios that we're doing that for, as well as a couple in Melbourne. We've just done a few builds of their Switch game, or a few Switch builds of their game, and given them a report on what needs to be fixed and stuff.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I guess it does, like, once you have that experience, I guess you can use it for something else, right? Like, you don't just have to use it on your own game.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, there's also, like you said, there's just so many games being loaded to Steam every day. It's an extremely competitive market. So it's like, well, how can we still be in this industry but like survive? Because it's one thing to like make a nice game and a piece of art, but you need to make money to support your studio, pay your employees and stuff. So that's one way we think we probably can go about it.